Most people think that their biggest financial problem is that they don't make enough money. And they think that is the thing that keeps them poor. But the scary part is that most people make this decision proudly, and they don't even realize is that it is quietly destroying their ability to win with their finances, especially. And more than that, society tells us that it's a smart decision that we make. And it's not a smart decision. In fact, it is degrading your wealth year after year. So what I'm gonna do in this video today is talk about it. If you're new here on the channel, hi, my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taika Translations. I'm a financial advisor. I used to be CFO for our company in South Texas. And I've done years of work and research in the area of finance. And so I'm delivering all the stuff that I know for free on this channel as often as I can. And on this channel, you're gonna find information about the stuff that actually works, that helps people build wealth, not the hacks, not the tricks, not the gigs that make money, not the hype that people build up around new things because the easiest person to trick is yourself, or the easiest person to sell an idea on is yourself, but actual real freedom that comes from managing finances and building wealth the right way. I mean, this is like God's and grandma's way of building wealth because it's stuff that's worked for centuries and even thousands upon thousands of years that have caused people to be able to prosper. And you applied those same principles to your life over the process of time, and inevitably you will see prosperity. And that's what I teach on this channel. If that sounds useful to you, make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell. And I will work through the process of growing wealth with you over time. I mean, if there's one thing that I know more than anything else is that we try to get rich too fast. And when we try to get rich too fast by doing too many of the shortcut things that sound good at the time, we end up putting ourselves further behind than if we would just take the principles, apply them, and go one step at a time forward. That's why on Wednesdays, I actually do a masterclass where I go live and you can interact with me as we talk through the different elements of making wise and powerfully productive financial decisions. So the biggest enemy of wealth is not coffee, it's not vacations, it's not an event, it's not just a lifestyle thing. One of the biggest financial decisions that we make, aside from our house, that causes us the most financial damage is our car. Cars are sold as a symbol of success. It's freedom, it's status, it's achievement. They are one of the worst purchases that most Americans make today, and it steals from your future. I know people who have $1,200 a month car payment, and if they would invest that exact same amount of $1,200 without ever increasing the amount they invested over the lifetime that they're paying car payments, they would have millions upon millions of dollars that they now will not have because they committed a lifetime to making the payments. I'll show you how to do that in the videos ahead, so you're gonna wanna like and subscribe to make sure that you don't miss that content. Car does not cost you just what you pay to the dealership. It drains your money month upon month upon month by interest payments, by extra insurance payments, and by those repairs that have to be done at the dealership. Otherwise, this car won't be able to be certified under the loan program. And the crazy reality is, most people never do the math on this stuff. They say, well, I got a zero interest loan on this car for this term and everything's just peachy. And it's not. The moment you drove your car off the lot, and people know this, the moment you drive it off the lot, you buy an $80,000 car, you drive it off the lot, you bring it back the next day, it's worth $55,000, maybe, if you're lucky. And most people cannot handle in their current condition that massive of a loss in wealth at that time when they make such a purchase. If you have to take a loan to buy the car you need to buy, then the car is too expensive. Well, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's contradictory to what society says. I know, which is why I started the video out saying that most people proudly make this decision, and it is one of the biggest financial mistakes that they make, other than credit cards, that cause them to lose wealth over time. We think it gives us freedom, we think it gives us all of these things, but you're not calculating the insurance cost, the maintenance cost, the financing cost, and the freaking fact that you lost thousands upon thousands of dollars. As soon as you signed your signature on that paper, that's the moment the wealth left your life. And that is not something that I enjoy. I do not enjoy, as soon as I sign a piece of paper, losing tens of thousands of dollars, $20,000, $30,000 on a car purchase. And worse than that, so many of Americans today roll over negative equity into a loan that's going to cause them further negative equity. And you're like, how do they do that? Well, this is how. They take a car that they owe money on and they bring it back to the dealership. They say, I want to trade in this car. And the dealer's like, well, we can't give you the full price on it because obviously we have to make money on it when we sell it. And you're like, okay, well, just give me what you can take for it and apply the balance to the new loan. And so you go get this new car, and then maybe the new car costs $50,000, and you roll over the negative equity into that. So you've got $50,000 plus whatever you owed on the previous loan, because you only paid on it for 2 years. So you've got like $20,000 worth at least in that loan. So 50 plus 20. And now you just bought $50,000 car on the lot, and you are currently on the hook for $70,000. And the moment you drive the $50,000 car off the lot, it loses at least $15,000 of value. So now you have $20,000 plus $15,000. That's $35,000 out with nothing attached to that loan. And you're driving a car that is completely upside down in value. So you owe $50,000 on the car that you're driving that just lost at least $15,000 the moment you drove it, the moment you signed on the dotted line. And then you add that to the negative equity rolled into the car, and now we find ourselves upside down in a car deal, which is a very bad place to be. And so many Americans do this day after day after day, and it causes so much financial stress and hopelessness. And it's not because the car is a bad thing to have. It's not because of, I love cars. I like buying cars. I have cars. I have ATVs. I have all kinds of stuff. But a car is not an investment. And worse, when you do it to buy status, it causes you to make a decision that you might otherwise not make. That's really dumb. I know a guy who is a billionaire. He bought a Bentley. He said, I bought the car for like $350,000. I drove it around for a week, and it was like, man, the utility value of this vehicle is the same to me as if I was driving a really nice Honda Civic. So he took the Bentley back, gave it back to the dealership. They gave him back whatever it was worth, which was not obviously not what he bought it for. And he just went and bought a cheap car. And he used the same amount of money, that big old chunk of cash, $300,000, to go invest in his business and create more billions. Guys, this is the way that rich people think. This is the way that we analyze situations. We don't think, well, how cool am I going to look at the stoplight? How can I impress my neighbors? There used to be a movie back in the day where they had this fake set of neighbors, where this one family, they were all actors, a mother, father, and children. And they always had something a little bit nicer than their neighbor did. And they were always trying to play this cat and mouse game of, I'm getting a better car, you got a better car. I went on a nicer vacation, they went on a nicer vacation. And it's always back and forth and trying to look a little bit better and look a little bit better until the end somebody ultimately committed suicide. It was a terrible, man, that is such a terrible movie. But the reality is stark and is so painfully realistic in so many homes across the world today. You can't compete with everyone in the marketplace. There's always someone a little bit better, a little bit shinier, a little bit more amazing. And the irony of that story was that those people, they were just actors with unlimited resources because it was simply a movie set for them. But for these guys, it was real life. And these guys were comparing themselves to those guys who were just acting out a real life. And actually, they didn't even have that type of life at all. Now, it's not just that you lost money on the upfront deal or rolled the negative equity into the deal, or that you're paying interest on this each month and you're losing money that way. But more importantly than that, the time factor in building wealth is a massive influencer, and it almost matters as much as the amount that you're putting in itself. If you delay 10 years of investing the extra $1,000 a month that you could invest if you didn't have that big car payment, if you delayed that 10 years, you lose infinitely more money than you would have lost if you started investing earlier and consistently invested even half of that car payment throughout those 10 years. It's a massive opportunity loss for people who don't understand the value of time in investment plus compounding interest over years and years and years. Now, the marketing around the cars is a lie because they don't sell transportation. They sell identity. You deserve this. You worked hard for this. This car is going to show other people that you made it. But real wealth, it doesn't look that impressive early on. It looks quiet, it looks boring, it looks very unsexy, because most people who are wealthy people, we don't get rich by trying to impress people at traffic lights. We get rich by investing month after month after month in what works and adds values to our life. Some years we have great years in the marketplace, some years we don't, but it adds value over time. And historically, we have all the data to tell us what to invest in, how to invest, and what we can likely expect over the years to cause ourselves to, instead of lose money when we're placing money into an investment, a payment each month, but actually grow money. So here's a simple framework for actually buying a car that works. Framework that wealthy people use. First, buy at the point of depreciation. Let someone else take the big hit on that first couple years purchase. But, well, I just have to have the new car smell. you don't realize that you are sacrificing your retirement for that new car smell. Most people, they don't make enough money to be able to manage that type of loss as you enter into a deal. Second, keep the car expenses under 15% of your monthly income. If the car controls your cash flow, it controls your life. Third, and I think this is more important than the other two put together, keep the car long-term. Like, if you can, keep the car 10 years. The longer you keep a car and the better you take care of it, the cheaper it becomes for your life. Now, if you bought a lemon, you got to get rid of those things as fast as you can. But if you bought a decent car, decent price, and you do great maintenance on it over years, then it's probably going to serve you very, very well. The likelihood is very high. And the longer you keep that sucker, the cheaper it's going to be to operate for you and the more value it adds to your life over those years. You know, the bigger lesson here is it's not really about the car. It's about being aware of what makes money grow. Every financial decision you make either buys freedom or it sells a piece of your freedom. Problem isn't that people just go out constantly making wrong choices and desire to do the worst possible financial thing that they can today. It's that they never slow down long enough to question the financial decisions. I remember some of my family members, they went to a chiropractic appointment. At the chiropractor, the guy's like, the administrative assistant's like, okay, so you did the chiropractor thing, this is the bill, this is the treatment plan, and here's a credit card. Oh, by the way, the credit card's 0 interest. And you're like, oh, great, let me sign up and I'll pay with the card. They signed up, paid with the card, and took it home. At home, they showed me the paperwork for the credit card. And I looked over the paperwork and I read through it and I was like, 0 interest for 3 months. After 3 months, it switches to 21% interest. I was like, are you aware of this? And as they read through it, they're like, oh, I had no idea. They said it was 0 interest. Well, it's kind of true. It's a half truth. It was for 3 months. Beyond 3 months, which is going to take you at least 12 to 18 months to pay this off, it's a 20% interest rate. And so we had a very great opportunity to have a clarifying conversation about what interest rate means and how it negatively impacts your wealth over time. And so many people don't realize that. If this video made you rethink how you spend money, that is the goal. That's ultimately my goal. I want you to rethink your deals. I post content like this every single week, and this is honest conversations about money, about business, and long-term thinking without gimmicks. Subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss what's coming next. See you in the next video.